strategic marketing? Did anybody go check with their organizations if you're using balance scorecard, or if you're using any of these controls, SWOT or PESTEL or any such thing in your organizations?
So we do use SWOT in my organization.
Okay, wonderful.
We
In
previously
your department or organization?
No, in my department we typically use.
Okay, fantastic.
So even though we don't reach out to external stakeholders, we still have internal stakeholders. So typically we do the SWOT based on that.
Perfect. Did you get a chance to look at it?
Yeah, there is a SWOT that we do on a quarterly basis with our stakeholders. Right?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Based on that, we try to assess what can be improved, and that's more of a feedback that we get from our stakeholders, and that is what is then discussed internally as a team. We discuss that and we try to rearrange things accordingly.
So based on what you told me, is it effective or not?
Yeah, it is definitely effective. Obviously, the way the concept is versus how it happens in corporate world, there's a slight difference because there's a bit of corporate politics that gets added, which doesn't exist in the principle of it. Right.
Perfect. So just a thought, based on what we studied, critically examine it, and I'm sure you'll find differences. Now, just a little bit of suggestion, please don't do it quarterly, it's too much. Do it half yearly or annually. If you want feedback from your internal stakeholders, then arrange for a structured or an unstructured feedback session.
Yeah, so we do have 360-degree feedback, which is more of an annual thing. Okay, but we do have this SWOT, and then we have something called as managed business review, monthly business reviews that we do.
Great.
Okay. So then typically the quarterly meetings are an amalgamation of those points that was discussed in the monthly business review that goes into the SWOT.
Very good. Just a thought, don't do SWOT every quarter. Instead of doing feedback, do that every half yearly.
We have been passing that message to our senior leaders in terms of we should reduce that to a half yearly activity rather than a quarterly. Correct. Because then from a SWOT perspective, the goal setting has to be then from a 3 months perspective, which is not achievable.
Exactly. So I think if you want to make a difference, a picture, what you can do is in the past, just prepare a 5-page slide or whatever that is, and say in the past, we've done this SWOT, we've not got any outputs out of it, we've not got any earth-shaking things. So our recommendation is to stop it and get that formalized.
Yeah. We have, I haven't been part of teams that have used balance scorecard. So for me, balance scorecard is an area that I need to learn more and focus more upon.
Good. So hopefully by the end of the year, you will write to me saying we are doing SWOT annually or 6 monthly, and you're going to say we are next year's goals, we're going to implement using the balance scorecard approach.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got 8 months to do that.
So one thing that I just want to understand, Professor, and this could be something that I can discuss with you offline as well.
Yeah, sure.
How to apply a balance scorecard in a project program management kind of a setup?
It won't be applied at that micro level.
Yeah.
It will be applied at the macro level. At the project level that you want to do, please set up KPIs before the project that you want to review the project success on, and keep about 5 or 6 of those KPIs. If you want to set up those KPIs, set those KPIs up based on the balance scorecard framework. But that is in a sense adopting the framework at the micro level.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like post-implementation reviews. On what basis are you going to review? You're going to review on the basis of the KPI set. So let there be financials, let there be customer, let there be process, let there be growth of opportunities, and have not more than 10 for sure. 5 to 6 would be ideal. And on that basis of the KPIs, please discuss whether the project implementation has achieved its objectives or has it falling short of it.
Okay.
Yeah, because one of the biggest lagunas in project implementation, besides implementation, is how do you measure the success of the project? So post-implementation reviews.
Okay.
And we don't want an audit department to do that for us. We can do it ourselves as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Very good. I'm so glad. Anyone else? Guys, 2 rules once again for the last day of ours today, which is cameras on and mics off. Unless you're making a contribution, let's make it as engaging as we've done the last 3 sessions, or probably more, as we understand and we appreciate the nuances of strategic business management to our business objectives and problems. Okay, so our today's session, we have a few more frameworks that we talk about, the two most commonly used ones also. And one is called as the VRIO framework, and the other one's called as the Ansof's matrix framework. So we're going to talk about these, and then obviously talk about organic versus inorganic growth. That is what is it has been talked about quite a lot around us. And at the end, we will do a quick review. And yes, I have not forgotten my promise. I will talk to you about what the term end exam looks like and what are the expectations in terms of the answers. Okay, good. So let's get started on this. And when we want to get started, let's talk about the frameworks that we want to talk about today. And today's framework is on VRIO. The acronym VRIO basically stands for something, and we're going to look into what it stands for. So just in a minute, we will come to know that, but it's a very, very popular technique to determine internally, what are you doing? Are you doing it effectively? Or are you doing it efficiently or not? So a critical framework that you will do for all those of you who are looking at process reengineering, or who are looking at resource allocation, or looking at how do we make sure that our operations are strong enough for us to maintain or keep our competitive advantage in the marketplace. We all have limited resources. We want to understand that, but through the limited resources, how do we make them best to fulfill our strategy such that we are doing it both effectively and efficiently? And what therefore is this framework talks about value, rarity, imitability, organization. Now, these are the four acronyms points. There are details of it also. The V stands for the question of value. We know from the business perspective that we don't want to fight the price war. We are here for value creation, and we want to fight the value war. And that's what we call it as, no longer the USP, but we call it as VSP of value selling propositions. Rarity, what is so unique about us? Why should a consumer come to us? What is it that we offer compared to competition? Imitability, can consumers or get substitutes easily? Can competition offer what we are offering very easily? And as an organization, do we command the respect, the integrity that we would like to command? How is our organization positioned in the marketplace? Okay. Now, having said and done that, the next part are the benefits of it. The benefits of it are saying that you evaluate all internal resources and capabilities of the company, which is, what are we good at? What are we not good at? Determine how to approach the marketplace and inform strategic decisions. So let's talk about this one first. We want to evaluate our internal capabilities and then finally make or take a decision whether we have the right competencies and skills that are required for us to do the right things or not. What do you think are the biggest disadvantages there, or the biggest barriers there for us to know, yes, we have the right competencies or skills, or we don't have them? How can we do this exercise effectively? What are the barriers to overcome this problem? Any thoughts?
Hello, Professor. Good evening.
Yes. Hi.
Just a thought, maybe a 360-degree feedback and maybe a cross-functional approach or discussion would help in understanding the the aspects of valuable and rarity, and that will help. And I feel the barrier is something again on the perception, that's why this cross-functional approach will help, because for me it might be valuable and rare for me, and it all depends on, even if it is a resource, it could be anything. But if I talk on people, again, it cannot be biased, right?
Correct.
So that's it.
Well, yeah, so I take that point very much. Unbiased and fair and square approach. That's absolutely correct. And for that, whatever feedback that you agree as an organization, 360, top down, horizontal, bottom up, whatever that be the case in point, is going to give us an unbiased, objective approach towards a person's strengths and weaknesses. How many of us in the organization, may not be us, but our organization or us as well, are open to feedback? If a feedback is given to us, we defend it or we accept it. What is our approach usually?
I mean, from majority people, it is defensive.
Defensive.
And there are only specific individuals who will accept the feedback on the face value.
Fantastic. Apikshit, let me nudge you a little bit more. What about you?
I fall in the minority. I accept it on the face value, because what I believe is that even if you try to defend it, right, that gets perceived as an excuse. Correct. Right? So rather than going in that direction, it's better you accept it and then try to find ways in terms of how you can work towards it and show improvement on that side.
Okay, very good approach. Yes. Anyone else? Here we got an example of a person who accepts feedback. Anybody who defends it, and does it's very difficult for someone to accept feedback. Anyone?
Hello, Professor.
Yes, Bharani.
Yes. So in my earlier stages of my experience, I even without listening, I will defend myself. So that's how I was. And maybe with
you mean to say when you were young and vibrant, you were like this? Now that you've matured, you aren't. That's what you're.
Maybe that's better, because in my experience, I'm getting mature day by day, and that's one. And with experience, I do my own assessment when some feedback is thrown at me. I'll do assessment of whatever it is, and then at that moment I'll not react, but I'll give a genuine feedback. This is how I'm approaching that right now.
Very good, very good. And you must be at peace with that.
Yes, I'm very much.
Very good, excellent. A very good approaches both. Yeah. Personally, from my experience, absolutely right. When you're in your early years of your career, you don't want to listen to feedback because you think you offer the best that you could offer. There are ways in which feedback is given, and there are ways in which feedback is taken also. It is now, personally, the way I look at it, I'm open to feedback, but only from the people that I respect and not from anybody and everybody. So if there is anybody and everybody giving me feedback, I'm going to just walk out of there, and I'm just going to listen and not act upon it. So feedback, yes, accept feedback, but accept from people or positions or that you actually value and respect. That's one side of it. And the other side of it, of course, with some people, you have to take their feedback if you want to survive in the organization. So, you come up with a balance in that case. Also, a best strategy, a very, very good strategy with my personal experience has been agree to disagree. And that is so good a strategy because it kind of puts it in the perspective of the organization first and individuals later on. When you are taking a decision and you said yes to it and the opponents have said no to it, we get very emotional and sentimental about it. As if it's your loss, or as if somebody's thrown a hammer or a dagger at you. But it's okay. It's nothing for your fault. You gave a suggestion. It did not work. It's absolutely fine. So if somebody were to say, hey, what happened, Umesh? Your suggestion didn't go. It's okay. It's fine. So agree to disagree. That's one mindset that one should adopt in a meeting room. Second, be open to feedback. At least listen to it. Thirdly, if it is from the person that you respect and you believe in, definitely have the ears to listen and act upon it. If it is from people that does not matter, then listen to it and then you decide what you want to do with it. But before defending, which is not a good strategy, accept it and then see. Try and don't be overcritical about yourself, but don't be so complacent that you don't want to take feedback. Hence, most organizations, the VRIO framework does not work because people are not accepting feedback. You want to achieve the stars, which is great, but you don't have skills and competencies to do an average mediocre thing as well. And that's where the biggest fight in the organization is. the expectations are not as per reality. So, and hence, from the beginning of the time only, you will never be able to achieve your objectives because your objectives are not in line with employee skills and competencies. So that is what you need to do. If you are not technology progressive as a company, work upon it. If you are not seen as a trustworthy, transparent organization, work upon it. Whatever is the perception, mind you, perception is much more important than reality. And our job is to convert that perception into reality. And that's not an easy task. Requires a lot of perseverance and a lot of patience. But most organizations want to do that in the event of sustainability and in the event of ethical business practices. Yeah, two firms have the same brand name. Both are doing great in terms of market share and sales and profits. Consumer is confused what he or she is buying. One of the companies changes the brand name and loses out on the market share. Right thing to do for this company who's changed the name, or wrong thing to do for the company who's changed the name? What would your perspective be?
It was a wrong thing to change.
Okay. Why, Gaurav? Why, Gaurav?
Hello, hi.
Yeah, hi.
So it was a wrong thing to do because the company is doing already great. And if the new name is not adding any value to it and they have not put a bigger brand over it, so unless that happens, it's wrong strategy to change the name.
Okay, fair enough.
I would put it in a slightly different way. I would first try to understand whether having common names is beneficial to me or detrimental to me. Right.
Okay, assuming it is detrimental and therefore I changed. And not to me, it's detrimental to the consumer, the end user.
Then yeah, I would try to change, but then that will involve a lot of rebranding measures, which I need to plan for, because rebranding is a very expensive thing to do.
Would you change or not change then?
I would change depending on the financial strength of my balance sheet and what it takes to do that, because I need to have a time horizon for doing it, right?
So you would change that.
Yes,
that is
I would change depending on the effort and cost involved.
Great. Anyone else? Gaurav says no. Apekshit says yes in that case. Anyone says anything else? And then
Sir, Ayush this side.
Hi, Ayush.
Hope you are doing well.
I am. Thank you.
So I have a little different perspective about this thing, that probably it should be good sometimes to change the brand name. We do all the research and still our strategy fails, that we don't see something not coming. All of a sudden, you can say the customer, we tested a small sample of customers and to be liking that branding and all of it together. But when we release that on a larger scale, it turns out to be a different way. So sometimes it's like unpredictable in these scenarios, that we just the new branding just backfire us, and sometimes it helps. So it's always good to, you can say, put up or upgrade yourself a little bit in a longer run.
Okay. So having said that political answer, what's your view now?
Pardon, sir?
So having said that, what's your view? Will you change or will you not change? What is your first thought?
I would change.
Okay, very good. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. Now, there is no right or wrong answer here. It's perfectly driven with what kind of an organization setup are you. If both brands are fighting with the same name and it's causing confusion to the customer, my personal opinion is short run, you will win. But long run, it's going to be confusing. And whatever profits that you earn will not be sustainable in the future. Somebody has to take brand number 2 who's taken the act, far more matured, far more respect, because they've taken it today, taken a hit on their profitability, but with a long-term perspective of benefiting them by benefiting the customer. Okay. So again, when we talk about ethical business practices, sustainable business practices, these are the kinds of talks that we want to talk about. And these are the kinds of talks that are differentiating, or rather creating value, or rather creating rarity within an organization than it would be otherwise. Yeah. Good. Very good discussion. Thank you, guys.
Sorry, before you proceed, just one question in context to the agree to disagree. Like just a situation, like normally in workplace, we face this. Like we do some task, with a lot of efforts put in, and when you go and present and, have a discussions done with all the stakeholders, some feedbacks might come from people who are, who are out of the box or who are not into these activities, but they give a feedback which is opposing to your proposal or whatever. So that times, like, you will feel though he might be right or wrong, but you will not be able to assess that. But you will get sort of offended or not able to agree to that particular situation, so though he is right, but still I don't want to accept to it since I have put a lot of efforts and energy in it. My mind says not to go with that. So how do I tackle those situations?
Sure. A tricky one, much easy said than done. I totally agree with you, Bharani. But then what happens is, suppose you're in a meeting room and somebody, it's very easy for a joker to give that feedback and stew the comment in a different direction, or to irritate your image, or to irritate the whole presentation itself. One of the easiest things that jokers do in a presentation. But then what you need to do at that point of time is, yes, what you think is also right, but I don't think so. And if you want to really cut him off or her off, you can say, we can discuss it offline. What you can say is, I don't think so because you don't agree so. However, we can look at it offline because the discussions right now are not in line with the objective. So in a very polite way, you've asked the person to shut up. Sorry for the language, but you need to do that.
If I don't have a preconceived thought about the person, it's possible.
No, it may not be a preconceived thought, but anything that is hampering your image, your presentation, and it's not right. And there are lots of some idiots out there. So if it's hampering your work and your image is at stake, the best thing is to cut it off in a meeting. Yeah. Once I made a 3-hour presentation and my client said, I did not get anything new. Now, it was very, very offensive, I thought. For all the effort that I had done, the client is saying, I didn't get anything new. Very irritating. So I paused and I went back and I told my client, well, at least now, whatever you think, you can back it up with insights. And I think you're in a much better position than you were yesterday. Yeah. So yes, if you believe that your work has added value, but nobody is there for it, say it in a very polite tone. But if there is a statement saying, no, you're asking us to go there, we can't take that route, we don't think we want to implement. All right, this is only a suggestion. You decide, you're the best judge for it. That's okay. Don't have to get sentimental about it, saying, how dare you put hard-earned sweat and blood out in the place, and nothing of that sort is required. Yeah. So when in doubt, agree to disagree works very well in corporate board meetings, and both are at back to work normal, and there are no ego clashes whatsoever. You can suggest something to your manager, but if the manager is not implementing it, you can't do anything about it. You've suggested, that's all you could do, so you did it.
So coming back to the original questions of what are the barriers for VRIO framework.
Not VRIO framework, for accepting your issues or mistakes or weaknesses.
Okay. I was thinking, I thought it was from a barriers of VRIO framework. So I was trying to say that I think one of the most key or important things would be to understand how are we going to collect the information and how are we going to measure it, right? That many times there are differences of opinions there. And if there is a lack of clarity and it's not understood across the board from top to bottom, then that could also be one of the reasons why the analysis may not give the results that were expected.
Correct.
Or it will give results, wrong results, which will go undetected and the strategy will fail because the underlying data was wrong.
Very good. Now you're a strategic management guru. So how will you arrest this problem or overcome this problem?
Well, I would like to first understand, and I personally believe that there should be a review session that should happen at every department level, and there should be one point of contact who should be part of the working group that is reviewing the Vryo, right?
Very good.
And whoever is leading the working group needs to clearly make it very clear that what is needs to be measured, right? And then that needs to be truncated down by the POC to the respective teams to understand how are they going to collect the data. And that needs to be reviewed. There has to be a frequency of these reviews happening, right? So that you can assess the progress on it or understand, or there has to be a review to understand, make sure that you're going in the right direction or not.
Absolutely, definitely. Just a very simple thing there is to answer your problem is when you set up this, when you develop the strategy and when you decide the implementation frameworks, please set up and agree on the KPIs then and there itself as to what are the KPIs that you will use to measure it. How are you going to calculate it? Who is going to be responsible to give it to you? And what is the frequency of giving this to you? And that becomes your template for review. A couple of months, you will do it yourself. And trust me, if it works well, after the first quarter, it is like an autopilot mode. You review the KPIs, take focused decisions, and move forward.
Sir, I had just one doubt on Vryo framework before we proceed, and I'm sorry.
Okay, this what we're talking about is strategy, by the way. This is
correct.
not Vryo as yet.
Yeah. So in Vryo framework, the one doubt I have is, and it could be my interpretation mistake, but is there an overlap between the rarity versus imitability?
Okay. Can you live with that discomfort a little bit more? In the next half an hour, you will clear it yourself.
Sure.
Okay. Good. Very good. Anyone else? So Bharani, I hope you're going to be the agent who's going to do the change in your thinking process in the meeting room. Apikshit, you will drive whatever we've talked about here as how you deal with the professionals in your organization. And Gaurav, you'll be able to take more forthright decisions going forward, hopefully. Yeah?
Yeah. Yes.
Very good. So if you will evaluate your internal resources and capabilities, one of the biggest barriers to evaluate that is acceptance. You have to acknowledge that this is a problem, and only if you acknowledge this is a problem will you actually get to work upon it. And don't just acknowledge it for the sake of it. Everybody says data reliability is an issue. Very good. And you want to have clean, nice data for doing whatever analysis you want to do. So when you go into a planning cycle, that is the first thing that you want to talk about as part of your discussion. But then after that, with the other priorities being discussed, this initiative either goes to the last one or just gets done in a haphazard way. So therefore, the biggest problem in organizations today is not technology, not analytics, but it is the dependence, or it is the reliability of data. And there are assumptions that you use, because with data reliability being a question, the outcome is a bigger question, and therefore the action may not be what you expect it to be. So, again, accept the problem, see to what extent you can correct it, do the right thing, and then decide, yes, now let's move on to deciding what and how are the changes that we want to bring about to be able to strengthen our organization, to be able to strengthen our position in the marketplace, ultimately for two things: brand equity, and the other thing is profitability. And we want these two elements or outcomes from every other strategic framework, including Vryo, and that also is beneficial. So value, rarity, imitability, and organization. The question of value. So let's try and discuss this. So how are you going to analyze this piece of the story? You're going to look at it by saying, does or is the firm able to exploit an opportunity or neutralize an external threat with the resource or capabilities? So if there is an external threat, like digitization is an external threat, most organizations could not combat it last year. This year, a much better position, and either you've invested in digital skills or you've invested in digitization this year. And hence, what has the firm able to do with this? So are you able to exploit that opportunity? If the answer is yes, move on. If the answer is no, first fix this aspect of value and then try to move on to the next question of rarity. Now, what does rarity mean? Do you have control on the scarce resources or capabilities? Are you having that, for example, Pepsi Cola has a rare formula in manufacturing Pepsi, the soft drink, and that has gone in its as part of its intellectual property. So if Nike has also gone ahead and registered its Air Nike with the Air, soft shoes that it manufactures, that is its rarity. Under Armour's rarity is its designs. And so everybody has got some kind of, a wow element or a rare element that only is present in the brand. The rarity of Bounty is going to be the taste with coconut in it, and that is its rarity. The rarity of Nestle Crunch Bar is the crunchiness that you don't get anywhere else. The rarity of Ferrero Rocher would be the packaging and the gifting for which you use it. So every organization, in the case of services, the people would be the rarity. So HSBC would say we have world-class, knowledgeable relationship managers who understand our customers. So if we are able to control our scarce resources, understand them, make it rare, or exploit that rarity, then we move on to the next one. If we don't, then we got to stop, pause at this aspect, work towards it, and then move on to the next aspect, and that is imitability. Is it easy for somebody to come up with your brand or your product or your service, or is it difficult to substitute you with the others? Now, what would it be for Pepsi Cola? What would you say? I would say, yes, it is easy, but a lot of the carbonated drink connoisseurs say that the taste of Pepsi, and they can recognize the taste, which is not there in Coke or other beverages that you drink. So is it easy to substitute your product with others? And if the answer is yes, it's a problem. Like in the case of jams, a lot of us probably don't care about the brand that you buy as long as the ingredients are okay. And therefore, this brand of Kisan Jams, for instance, is having a lot of substitutes, and its imitability would be low or no, which it has to work upon to make it different, and then move on to the next aspect, which is organization. Does your company have organized management systems, processes, structures, and culture to capitalize on the resources and capabilities? In short, do you have the right mindset, right infrastructure to be able to do everything that you want to do through your value, rarity, imitability? If the answer is yes, you've crossed the last hurdle and you're ready to adopt the VRIO framework. If not, then that is a problem and you need to work on it. So every step it's a sequential aspect. You'll go with the value first. Every time you answer the question, look at the two sides of it. Yes, no. If yes, not great. If no, work on it and then move on. Similarly for rarity, similarly for imitability, and similarly for organization. Yeah. So there might be overlaps between these. That's okay. But those overlaps should be able to promote each other and not act as a barrier to each other, which is value, rarity, imitability, and the organization culture itself. And that is pretty much your VRIO framework. Any question, people?
Yeah, Professor, this is Apekshit here.
Yes.
The doubt that I had is you gave a very good example in terms of Coca-Cola or Pepsi having its own formula for developing their drink, or even for that matter, Apple has their own technology patents for design elements or something. Correct. Now, it is a rarity. At the same time, because they have a patent or an intellectual property right, it cannot be duplicated. So it is not imitable as well.
Correct.
So in this scenario, does it fall both under rarity and imitability, or if it has to fall under one, then which one?
Yeah, correct. No, it would, based on what you say, it will fall under both. Yeah, it will not be imitable easily because it has a registered patent and it's rare. Now the twist of the tale is, what if other products the thumbs ups of the world, are they tasting better than you, and therefore would customers switch, and therefore that's a substitute? So it will fall short on imitability but not rarity. And also what is important and which is getting more difficult to understand now is indirect competition. You could be substitute, like for example, if in the morning when you're having breakfast cereal for breakfast, is there imitability for Kellogg's? The answer is practically no, because Kellogg's dominates the breakfast cereal market. But what are the substitutes to the Indian breakfast palette? And they are huge and immense. And therefore, the imitability concept is high for breakfast cereal. And that is the biggest problem for Kellogg's in the Indian market space.
Okay. And the other doubt,
so imitability is not necessarily direct competition. But as it is growing now, indirect competition, and you've got to be mindful about that.
Okay. And the other doubt I had is, let's say if an organization has a very strong influence or controls the supply chain in that particular segment, will that fall under organization, or that's a rarity because they have a rare advantage? It may be a rare advantage, and that's why it's probably a more organizational skill. But that's one question I had. If one particular company has a very strong influence on the supply chain and they dominate the supply chain so that the competitors have a disadvantage there, and then under which pillar it will fall under?
I would put it under rarity, because you will harp upon it and you will make it as a competitive, distinct advantage for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will put it under rarity, and I will exploit it to the fullest. In a world where everybody is having supply chain issues, if I own a certain channel, Unilever, for example, falls in that category. It has its own supply chain model. It does not depend on outsiders, and it invests in its distributors. And that is what makes it even more rare.
Professor, one question. I don't know, might be a basic one, but like normally in an organization, which division or department does this sort of analysis?
Which one?
This RAIA framework.
This would be it will be initiated with the strategy department, whoever is doing strategy. If there is no central strategy department, then the operations department usually leads this RAIA framework.
We never come up during our experience. We never come up with such frameworks. So just curious to understand.
Okay, when you say we never come up with such framework, you mean in the organization or in the classroom?
Maybe in my organization, yes.
In your organization,
yeah.
Let me ask you a little bit more. Are you in operations?
Sort of, yes. I'm into quality, but into manufacturing and engineering.
Oh, you're into quality and manufacturing. So do you do quality excellence and Six Sigma and all that?
Yes.
Perfect. So then RAIA has to be embedded into it, my friend. And you will make a start this year, because if you're not doing RAIA, you're only doing it 50%. And I will tell you that.
I know, I'm expecting this answer from you.
Oh, you're expecting it also. Okay, fantastic. So now that you're expecting year end, you will write to me saying we have started doing this and it's benefiting us.
Sure.
Yeah, you do have 8 months to do this.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, good. So are you a black belt, green belt, or no belt?
I'm a black belt.
You're a black belt. See, fantastic credentials. Marry it very well with RAIA and you will bring about solid results in your departments.
Sure.
Okay, good. I had a video to show and I want to show that. Yeah. This is a nice video that we want to talk about, and I will share this with you. This is McDonald's doing a study with a Harvard Business Review. A very interesting video personally, and I thought I will share this with you. We will relate it to some of the frameworks that we've done. Definitely, in my opinion, relates to RAIA.
McDonald's approached us. And McDonald's is a very sophisticated marketing company. And they have data up the kazoo. And they decided that they needed to innovate in their milkshake product line so that more people will buy milkshakes. And they had data that allowed them to draw a quintessential customer of milkshake customers. And they then would identify this profile of a milkshake customer. It turns out I fit that profile very well. They would then invite people who hit the profile into conference rooms, and they'd ask them questions, trying to understand how could we improve the milkshake so you'll buy more of them. And they'd get very clear feedback. They would then improve the milkshake on those dimensions of performance, and it had no impact on sales or profits whatsoever. So we invited ourselves, and they agreed that we could try to approach it in a very different way. And that is, there's a job out there somewhere that arises in people's life on occasion that causes them to need to buy a milkshake. And we need to understand what the job is that causes people to buy a milkshake. And so one of our colleagues stood in a McDonald's restaurant for 18 hours one day and just took very careful notes on what time did he buy the milkshake, what was he wearing, was he alone or with other people, did he buy other food with it or just the milkshake, and did he eat it in the restaurant or did he go off in the car and take off. It turned out that about half of the milkshakes were sold before 8:30 in the morning. It was the only thing they bought. They were always alone, and they always got in the car and drove off with it. So we came the next morning and confronted and positioned ourselves outside the restaurant so that we could confront these people as they were emerging with their milkshake. And in language that they could better understand, we asked them, "Excuse me, you're creating real trouble for me because can you explain what job arose in your life that caused you to come here at 6:30 in the morning to hire a milkshake to get this? What's the job to be done here?" As they would struggle to answer why they came at 6:30, we'd ask them, well, step back a minute and think about the last situation in which you had the same situation, needing to get the same job done, but you didn't come here to hire a milkshake from McDonald's. What did you hire to get the job done? And one guy said, yeah, I hire donuts to do the job, but I can never hire just one. And another guy said, I do bagels, but boy, they're dry and they're tasteless. And so I have to put cream cheese on and steer the car with my knees while I'm putting cream cheese on. And it turns out, one of them said, I hired a Snickers bar to do the job, but I felt so guilty. I've never hired Snickers again. And one guy said, I never thought about it before, but last Friday I hired a banana to do the job. But it doesn't do the job very well at all. You finish it in less than a minute. But let me tell you, when I go to McDonald's, it is so viscous. It takes me about 23 minutes to suck it up that thin little straw. And I don't care what the ingredients are. All I know is that when 10 o'clock comes, I'm still full. And the job that all of these people were trying to get done was I have a long and boring drive to work. And I needed something that would just keep me engaged with life while I'm driving the car. I'm not hungry yet, but I know I'll be hungry by 10 o'clock. So I also, part of the job is, I need something to eat that would keep myself full when 10 o'clock happens. And that's the job that they're hiring the milkshake to do, and that is they have a long and boring drive to work. And they needed to add dimensions of it to keep them engaged with life. And from the customer's point of view, the milkshake does the job better than any of the competitors. And the competitors from the customer's point of view are not just in the product category, but they draw from bananas and donuts and bagels, as I mentioned. And so when you think about how big the job is, you have to look at who the real competitors are from the customer's point of view. And they come from very different categories. How big is the market for milkshakes? It's a serious question. Well, who knows? But the size of the milkshake just isn't the sum of the milkshakes of Burger King, Wendy's, and McDonald's milkshakes, but it includes, from the customer's point of view, all of those other attributes of bananas, donuts, bagels, Snickers bars. And when they implemented this insight in the portions of America where they developed it, it turned out to be seven times bigger than they had thought when it was marketed only by the attributes. And most markets are characterized that way. There is a lot of non-consumption, and you can understand how to improve it only if you understand the job to be done.
Quick question, guys. Of course, it is functionally, it is an area of strategy, and within area of strategy, the functional domains that where this gets deployed are operations and marketing. But does it apply to the VRIO framework?
I think, Professor, not completely, but somewhere down it applies a little.
So the answer is yes, Ayush. Will I take it as a yes or a no?
No would be the answer. Not all the factors are in consideration aligned with the thing. Things like they are finding the rarity element of the shakes.
Correct. So if they're finding the rarity element, it is a VRIO framework.
Possibly, yeah, but what was the I? Actually, I forgot the I.
I is imitability.
Imitability. So imitability of the shakes, I guess, would be higher because any of these can be done. I was while looking at the video, I was thinking about the same thing, that Dunkin' Donuts also tried doing the same experiment by using this chocolate smell in a bus, and all of a sudden everyone wanted to have the taste of the donuts, sort of. So well, even Dunkin' Donuts can be a competitor in this case for the shakes.
Of course.
So imitability would be a main factor that would be driving the value. And
very good. So you gave me two of them now. You gave me rarity, you gave me imitability.
Yeah. And the value would be dependent upon the rarity and the imitability. So the value driving factor is the rarity element. And
so you've given me three now.
Yeah. And I'm not able to get the organizational thing.
The whole organization that depends or values insights for their decisions. The culture of insights.
Okay.
And that is the organization itself, to be able to use all this, deploy all this, and implement it.
That's why I was not saying that the VRIO won't work, because I was not able to identify the organization thing.
Yes, but you identified 3 out of 4, and so therefore your answer is?
And now it would be right. I have to see that it would be the VRIO framework now.
Correct. Now you'd say yes, absolutely aligned. So, that is thinking out of the box, my friends. When we first look at the video, we feel it is not related to VRIO. But as you keep on analyzing it closely, this is a perfect example of design thinking, research, developmental thinking, thinking out of the box, where value, rarity, imitability, and organization are clearly visible here, as explained to us by Ayush.
Design thinking is the part of the process of all these things. Now, because I was
So design thinking will go in organization.
Okay, because I was also looking at these things like a user experience kind of thing. I have studied a little bit about design thinking only. So in those cases, I was thinking that this is somewhere related to the customer experience or the user experience part of the things.
Absolutely. But user experience, the genesis, the backbone of user experiences is customer needs understanding.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Unless you don't do that, all UX, UI initiatives will flip flop.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay? And this all comes as part of organization.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
So, Professor, I have one question. What measures I will take to determine the value part in Rarity framework?
No, that's the KPI that you're setting up, right? Now, first of all, I want you to sit and understand and define what is value. And you may have 2 or 3 points only, or not even 2, you may have 2 also, 1 also. But so what is value to your organization? And what is that value differentiator?
Okay.
And that is what you will start with as the V.
So can values be core
Stemming
values?
out. Now let's make life a little bit complicated.
Okay.
Where will value come from?
From the customer, from the objective.
So, I mean, all organizations.
Products that are
Sorry, one at a time, please. Apekshit, go ahead.
So,
and Ayush, you can talk later.
If an organization is a for-profit organization, the value would be from a profitability perspective.
No, profitability is the goal.
Okay.
So how will you achieve that profitability is through value.
Value would be generated by product, I guess. The product.
Okay. Good. And value will be generated by product or service. And where will you derive it from? Which framework will help you do that? Apekshit, what you do quarterly, that framework.
Oh, the strength, weakness.
The SWOT.
Okay.
The strengths will help build value.
Okay. Okay.
The BCG will strengthen that value, whether you're a star or you're a question mark or you're a cash cow.
Okay. Okay.
And the pestle will support it.
Okay. So for
correct.
So as part of the Brio framework, when you are trying to do a value analysis for your organization, we need to apply pestle, BCG, and SWOT in conjunction.
Yeah. Correct. You may not apply those in that order, but you can just say, let's brainstorm and say, what is different to us compared to the industry?
Okay. Okay.
Because if customers are saying you are expensive, reduce pricing, gone are the days when you'll respond back by reducing pricing.
Yeah, these days they reduce quantity rather than pricing.
You will not even reduce quantity. You will build up value. And the classic way of doing that is look at fine dining.
Okay.
It's a ripoff to the wallet. Food is, I don't know what food is, but we never talk about food. What do we say? What an experience.
Yeah.
And that experience is value.
Your value. Okay.
Right? So that is, and that experience is value only can be felt by going through it. Can't describe it.
Okay. So then the value chain analysis will also come into picture?
Correct. Yes, it will be. But value chain is distinct. Brio is more on process development.
Okay.
Yeah. Value chain is distinct. You might do a Brio for primary support activities, for example, through the value chain analysis.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Professor, could you repeat that last statement? Value chain analysis, we will do it on primary operations or processes.
Yes, or to prioritize our resources, we could do it on primary operations or activities because they have a direct relationship to the end customer. And interestingly, what you will find is the primary activities will have a thread to the supporting activities. So take up those processes first.
Okay.
Clear, Bharani?
Yes.
Okay, good, fine. So let's move on. We want to do a Brio, we want to do a Brio exercise. And I was thinking of doing it on Google. Do you have a better suggestion? this term. So what I want us to do is do a break. I mean, we'll do the VRIO framework for Google, and let us come up with what is its VRIO as a group to be able to decide or agree whether it has value, rarity, imitability, and organizational excellence or organizational reliance. Clear? So we will again put you into our breakout rooms today. 25 of you, so I think if I do 4 groups, 4 should be fine so that each one can look at the 4. So we'll give you about 20 minutes max to put the VRIO framework together. And then like we've done in the past, we will do it as a class. Yeah. Okay, so we've got 5, 5, 5, 5. Okay, so let's give you about 20 minutes max, and then let's come back and discuss it as a class. Yeah. All right, great. Welcome back, guys. I was in the room and I think most of you were discussing and I heard those. That's good in terms of what you guys were discussing. What you guys were not discussing also is fine. But yeah, let's talk about the Brio framework. And on the Brio framework, let's just try and understand what are we going to put in place. So like in the interest of everything that we've done so far, we'll add another sheet to our repository of what we've done. So we did Pestle, we did SWOT, we did Brio, and after today, I'll be sharing it through your central coordinating points that you'll get these sheets as well for future reference. So let's quickly move on to what we wanted to talk about as far as the Brio framework is concerned. There were four groups, and let's talk about the first. Let's pick up group number 3 to tell us about value. Of course, the others will chip in, but group 3 takes the lead on that. Yeah.
Hey, Professor.
Group 3 or room 3, whatever that was. Yeah.
Hey, Professor. Am I audible?
Yep, you are.
Yeah. So we discussed that under valuable, the points like market positioning can come.
Okay.
And apart from market positioning, creating popular consumer products can also be part of the valuability point.
Okay. Now, when you say market positioning, what are you saying? Is it brand equity? Because everybody positions themselves in the market. So what's new about it?
I mean, the market share, what Google has compared to other organizations.
So is this what you were saying? Market share?
Yeah.
Okay. Market share. Okay.
And the other one is like the Google create popular consumer products, which are very useful.
Okay.
Yeah, these two are the points which we discussed.
Hello?
Am I audible?
I don't know. We lost connection or what? I don't know. Okay. So is it market share and popular consumer products that are of value to the to Google?
Other thing which can be value to the Google is the user experience, that is the customer experience.
Okay. Right.
Customer loyalty.
Guys, yeah, customer loyalty. Just hold on, guys. So room 3, please answer this question for me. Is the firm able to exploit an opportunity or neutralize an external threat with the resource or its capabilities? Would you say yes or no for Google?
Yeah.
You'll say yes. Other rooms, what would you say? Would you still agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Anybody saying no? I don't think so. I think the answer is yes here. In fact, capital yes, font size 80. Okay. So yes, it does. Now, can market share be of value? Is it able to exploit an opportunity or neutralize an external threat with its resources?
I think
Yes,
the better would be brand equity.
Okay, and for a better word to brand equity would be a more relatable word.
Of a market share, can we say customer base, or like they have a large customer base? Largest
No, I would use
brand
having
image.
a large customer base is not a value because everybody would have one way or the other. What about user experience? Isn't that of value?
Customer experience. Yeah, user.
Yes.
Customer
I would put that point, which is here, user experience, and that is value, and that is converting into, if I want to add to it, I'm going to say that's helping me build brand equity. Or sorry, it's brand experience, it's customer experience, so it's building customer equity.
Will customer loyalty also come under value?
Right, which we have embedded that under customer equity.
Okay.
Yeah, because that is of value to me. Why is it of value to me? Because I can charge a price premium to this because of the experience that I'm offering. That is why it is of value to me.
What about the technology which Google and its products uses? It's also valuable.
Yes, and would I say technology or would I say innovation?
Innovation and R&D.
R&D.
Yes, correct. That is of value to the firm. Okay. Anything else?
Brand is image that has been established.
Which we will put it as part of customer equity.
Okay. Product range.
Product range, I'm not going to bring it lower because I've said user experience and innovation.
Okay, yeah, that would be.
Human resources.
Human
Good
resources.
one.
Yeah.
And there's a sexier word for that, saying human capital.
Human capital.
Human capital, yeah. HRM departments.
No, HRM is very old fashioned, Ayush. It's okay. Human capital. Talent acquisition.
Yes.
Talent acquisition.
Yes, all the drama words. I don't know if HR is awake with this or not, but the words are very sexy.
Work culture?
Yes, absolutely.
Work culture will also come under organization, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to exploit it as value because best place to work.
Best place to work.
That, because of that, not because of the culture. Huh? Because that culture will go under organization. Okay, good.
Won't this innovation and R&D will come under Rarity or Imitable?
I'm going to exploit it to be unique, to differentiate myself in the, because I innovate, I charge a price premium, and because of that, I have a loyal customer base. That's why I will put it under value.
And that may be rare also.
Ultimately, everything will be interrelated. But if I have to put it into one of the four, I would put it under value.
Okay.
Because I will not, and I want to be seen as an innovative company, because of which people should not be able to, innovate as much as I would. So it will be imitable also in that case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good. Anything else? Let's move to Rarity, room number 1. Room number 1. First, answer the question, please. Do you control scarce resources or capabilities? Do you own something that's hard to find yet in demand?
Yeah, hi, Professor. We discussed about the algorithm they use for search engine. It's very common, widely used. It's
correct. So, firstly, obviously the answer is yes here also, isn't it?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, very good. And on what basis are we saying that? Search engine
their research and development part is way too ahead of time.
Which is already gone under value, my friend. So I can't repeat it in Rarity. How will I use it differently?
Now you know that your research and development is value. Now you have to find a way that this research and development can also become rare. That
correct. And how is Google doing that?
By
yeah, go ahead, Shubhi.
I would say by actually keeping a tab on the market. I'm just trying. It's not very clear.
Yeah. No, no worries. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So by keeping a tab on the market as to what has already happened, I think their team is very good at predicting what can come in the market next.
Bang on. Absolutely correct. Now, that sentence, how will you abbreviate it or how will you shorten it in one word starts with an A?
A.
Ends with an S.
Analytics.
Thank you.
Oh, I was thinking forecasting. Sorry.
Analytics. And I think Google is one of the rarest companies that is unmatched on analytics. It could include search engine optimization. It could include Google Ads. It could include your other, what is it? Yeah, that we spoke about. Any and everything to do with customer understanding. All of this, yeah. And that's all it's analytics, and it really specializes and it sells this analytics driven data to its customers.
Can we also say the way they source the information, right?
Yeah, therefore reliable, my friend. And if it is reliable and therefore it is dependable.
So I was going to say cloud sourcing is a rarity that they leverage to the best. So in a way, because customers are their suppliers of data, right? They use cloud sourcing effectively to get the maximum possible data to be again republished to the other people.
Can I say that?
So can we say that?
Just said it. Do you think it makes sense putting it here?
Cloud storage and technology.
No, not cloud storage. I'm not saying cloud storage, right? I'm saying cloud sourcing.
Yeah. So what do you mean by sourcing? They have their own cloud space where they store data, which is everybody else does that. But because of their analytics thing, they have an edge over competition.
No, so I actually was trying to put it in a different way, right? I'm saying people use Google for the content, right? But Google does not create the content. The content is created by everybody else. So they're using people to source information, right? I'm not talking about cloud technology. I'm talking about they take information for free and redistribute that to everybody else.
So I'm going to just put it as you're saying analytics and insights.
Okay.
I think what you're talking about is search engine optimization only. That, whatever content others are putting, then Google optimizes it and produces it.
Not necessarily search engine. It is behavior data as well. What is behavior data? When you came onto the site, did you go to this brand by itself, or you happened to go there? Average time spent, number of days done, etc., etc.
Can it be the business model? What we are seeing right now, like in-house, everything is in-house. Like the information.
Yeah. So because of this analytics, they are selling this data also. And when they're selling it, they're charging a premium for it. And people are paying for it because nobody else is matching it the way they do.
Yeah, I was saying crowdsourcing. Sorry, I realized now that I was saying cloud. I was saying crowdsourcing.
Okay. Fine. And I will put this also because their analytics is going to make them a differentiator in the cloud field. My personal 2 bits to that is AWS will no longer have the #1 position 5 years ago, neither Microsoft, nor Oracle, nor Huawei. I think Google is definitely up in the race in the next 5 years, thanks to the analytics piece. And I think nobody, at least in the short run, is able to, overcome this, and they're going to push this also.
Hey, Professor.
Yes.
Yeah, instead of cloud technology, can we say that Google products and services are rare?
Which is this part only. So what we are talking about is we are rare with these, because of these things, we believe we are rare.
But cloud technology pinpoints to one particular technology.
Yeah, I mean,
but yes, even if it pinpoints, it does, because all the top brands have increased their brand value. Amazon, Microsoft, Google have all come in the top 5 range brands globally, and they've overtaken Microsoft. They've taken McDonald's, Coke, and the likes of FMCG, mainly because of cloud. And that has put them in the top 5. So it is a big thing in the future. Because of cloud, data analytics has also become the bread and butter of organizations to rely on.
The only reason, Professor, I will challenge that is because even though GCP or Google cloud platform is popular in the startup circle, at an enterprise level, companies would still will not easily switch to GCP, and they will either stay with AWS for cloud or with Azure for Microsoft. So at enterprise level, it will not be easy for Google to breach that and go there.
But it's trying really hard. AWS only has the first mover advantage right now. Microsoft has already invested in banking and financial services and literally owns that space. And Google is coming very, very strongly into this space thanks to the analytics route that is going to drive. And the whole philosophy of data-driven decision-making is going to be bringing about this disruption, and Google is going to do that, or is doing that rather.
But I also challenge it because I happen to look at some Gartner reports for 2-3 years. And I'll constantly seeing that in the BI softwares, Google is lacking really behind because of the Looker. It has Google Looker, and Microsoft Power BI is gaining attention. In same scenario, in cloud also, the Microsoft is getting a lot of attention because of Azure and SQL servers and the cross-platform dependency of
Fair enough, perfectly fine. So are you saying Amazon and what should I say, Microsoft also are strong in analytics, and therefore it's not a rarity for Google? I will have to remove all these points then.
Yeah, so in cloud advantage, I would say that Google.
Yeah, for cloud, I mean, I agree with what Ayush is saying. For cloud, I will not put a rarity, because in cloud, Google is not a rarity, and it doesn't have the advantage. And the approach it has taken to cloud, it's not going to be a number one in anytime soon.
Yeah.
Okay, I maybe it's not clear, but for me, cloud technology is not the way you look at it. Cloud technology coupled with analytics is what I am pushing the brand forward to as the rarity. Everybody offers cloud technology, but the analytics Google, support, the analytics that it offers through cloud is amazing.
The problem with Google is it doesn't offer the same cross-platform advantage as what AWS offers, or even
exactly
products.
The problem is
because large enterprises.
Guys, I'm not getting into all that fancy words. I'm focusing on analytics and insights. That's it. And I will remove all the other things if I want, but this is what I believe is rare for Google. You may delete all this, does not matter.
So the thing is that Google is lacking behind in analytics because of Google is good in analytics, but it is lacking behind because of the cross-platform dependency.
My friend, I don't agree with that totally, because in this part of the world, or rather in most parts of the world, Google is synonym to analytics, and they charge a bomb to provide you with basic data also.
Okay.
Yeah, even I agree with that. All the other cloud platforms do provide services, but they don't provide analytics to an extent that Google platform does it currently.
Exactly. And you know, the whole concept
I would even argue that. And
it's okay. We can argue that. That's fine. Let's stop this, guys.
I can talk on that whole time because I work on data engineering, right?
Thank you. But can we do it later, please? Because if you don't agree with this, we remove it out. If you agree with this, we keep it right now. So I would say analytics and insights. If you have a different view, I remove this point, but you have to tell me what is so rare about Google in that case. Or there is nothing, which is, so the answer turns to no, or is it a yes?
It's definitely yes. So I agree with the SEO, the Google ads, the customer understanding and the behavior data and crowdsourcing part, but not necessarily the cloud technology and analytics part.
That's okay. That's okay. That's fine. 1 out of 5, you may not. But the perspective that I'm bringing forward from my experience is cloud technology, everybody offers. Google is trying to bring in a different perspective there, and that is adding the analytics route to cloud, not storage.
No, but
Professor-
analytics is offered by even Microsoft as part of its cloud, and even AWS offers that better
Agreed.
than what Google offers.
That's your perspective, but Google also has a clientele, my friend.
Not at enterprise level. Maybe
course
at
it
a
does.
startup level, but not at enterprise level.
No, banking world is moving to Microsoft, but they're also moving away to Google in that case. The whole media and the ad world is relying on Google for its analytics. Individuals are relying on analytics for Google. Your startups, of course, which you said. Again, we can agree to disagree. You can put that. And I don't know, somebody talked about Gartner. I don't know how far it is true, guys, but there is a lot of debate now. Gartner used to be the Bible 5 years ago. Right now, at some technology-driven forums, what I heard is people are questioning Gartner's insights to be able to provide the quadrant map that Gartner does. How far it is true, I don't know, but that's the thought and view that people in the technology field are now talking about it. Okay, so let's stick to the point of analytics and insights, and this analytics and insights is providing Google Rarity, that what we believe is going to help them steer its direction forward in the future. Okay, so the user experience part is here, which is of value, or they will capitalize on it. And obviously that gets into this. We have innovation, R&D, and we have human capital here. And all of these are the pointers that we want to point out are giving us value and rarity. If you don't want to use cloud technology, feel free not to use so. If you want to use it, feel so. Personally, I would like to use so. You can remove it later on.
Professor, can we consider Google Go language as well, which is like totally created by the Google and used by the Google?
I didn't get that word. What was that? Google what?
Google Go, the language. So just like Python language, we also have like Google Go language. So built by and created by.
Is it popular? Is it being used?
Very much popular.
It's popular, but it's not. Its syntax is not very easy to learn, right?
Okay, but then it is not popular in that case.
It's not going to beat Python and Java at any given point.
Okay, so if it's not going to do that, then it's not rare.
So is it like the product should be popular to be rare?
No, it has to be rare, and therefore we can make it popular.
Yeah, I mean, so the point here is we say diamonds are rare because they have a value, right? If something is rare but doesn't have a value, then it should not fall under rarity. Just because nobody else is having that, that should not be rarity alone, right? It should have a value also to be rare.
And I would look at it differently. If it is rare, I can have value for it. Yeah. So let's go with this part right now. Let's talk about imitable. Room 2, I think 2 has not said, and then I think 4, 2 and 4, yeah. Room 2. Hello, room 2.
Dinesh, Jaya, you want to talk about the points we discussed?
Yeah. Okay, so the questions which you have mentioned, Professor, under imitable. Okay, so is it expensive to duplicate your organization's resource and capability? Yes. And is it difficult to find an equivalent substitute? I would again say yes here.
Okay. Okay. Good. And any thoughts of what you want to support it by?
The one point that I remember we discussed was about algorithms, right, being something that is not imitable.
Okay.
That they use for doing their SEOs.
Okay. So algorithms, imitable, or whatever programs for whatever word that is, but yes, absolutely. And that is unique, by the way, and therefore not imitable.
The patents and intellectual property they have.
Yes. Or IP, yeah.
Lois?
Yes, good one. Again, the buzzword for that is people centricity. Yeah, I want to get out of human resources. I'm using people centricity.
Okay.
But that can be imitable, right, Professor? I mean,
in fact, they are not. They are saying our people are our strength.
Okay.
And we cannot imitate it.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
but
we
if
cannot.
Organizations develop that work culture, because people centricity would fall into work culture, right?
Apekshit, yeah, if you noticed, I have not bolded work culture because it's going to come down later on. Niche.
Okay.
That's why. Yeah. Okay. So
Professor,
good.
I have one doubt on the way we are defining the, different aspects of an organization. See, what we discussed in room 2 was that, say, suppose if we pick up customer equity, okay, we defined it under the 4 parts, like whether it is valuable, whether it is rare, whether it can be imitated, or whether it is organized.
So we looked at capabilities, and for each capability we did a VRIO instead of putting capabilities under a separate thing. We actually did a VRIO on each capability.
Right. Nothing's wrong in that, but you went very micro.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I would take that argument forward that we did it on customer equity because our value chain showed that there are these 5 processes that are driving customer equity. Normally, a VRIO would be done at a macro level.
Okay.
Yeah. And the output of this is going to help you develop your processes accordingly or develop your operations accordingly so that you can exploit them to the advantage of being value, rare, imitable, and obviously the organization driving it.
So one question, can some aspects be repeated under various things, like, say, suppose work culture, although it is valuable, it is also something which cannot be, which is rare also. We don't find such work cultures in other organizations.
Yes. Normally what I do, I don't try to repeat it into other boxes. I keep it into one of the 4 boxes because I can exploit that box for either value, rarity, imitable. Of course, at the end of the day, if you see it, it's all interdependable. And that is the beauty of the framework, because all of this, somebody has to go on mute. I don't know who it is. Yes. I don't know who it is.
अरे वो power button और volume up वाला button.
Hello.
Professor, since you are the host, probably you have the right to mute all.
Yeah, I'm just doing that now. I'm just stopping and doing it right now. I think it's Kunal. Kunal, we don't want to listen to your personal conversations. Okay, good. Let's move on. It's here. So yes, they will all work in what should I say, in tandem, in integrated manner, but each one has its contribution to make, and therefore you're going to say that our organization, our operations are able to provide value because of the rarity that they are, because they are not imitable through direct or indirect competition, and the organization offers support to it. Because if some people put it under the same area, I avoid it because then I don't know what to capitalize where. Now, of course, there is a correlation or relationship between all of this. Your user experience cannot be without analytics, which cannot be without your people, which cannot be without your culture. Yeah. Anything that's bothering with this thought, or you believe, and we can talk about it. Tell me. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is it clear now? Or
yeah, we hear you. I think it is in async content. This is how it was, presented. So that's how our understanding was built. That okay, we need to create the framework later.
That's okay, but I think the perspective that I'm taking more is how we actually do it in the practical world.
Agree. Yeah.
So yes, you could look at the async way, but that will always be there.
Right. Agree.
This has to be looked at it from the point of view, because that's how one looks at it from the industry if one has to implement it.
Hey, Professor. For organization, can we consider data collection or management within organization?
Yes, you could, if you believe so, and you can say data-driven decision making if you want to add that buzzword, if you believe so. Yeah, you could. Yeah. Clear about this, guys? Any questions? Can I move on? Okay, great. So, so we did Pestle, we did SWOT, we did Rio.
Question. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
On time. You put patents and IP under rarity part. Okay. Now, my understanding is that organization files for a patent if something is rare. Okay. So if there is something under a patent, which has actually, see, patents, I think they are valid only for say 20 years or 50 years, if I'm not wrong. I've read it somewhere. I don't remember the exact time period. But even after, say, it has become available, it has become open source, if still people are not able to copy it, then it becomes imitable, right?
Right, correct. So there is a relationship. Because it is patented, it is rare. And because it is rare, it can offer value to you.
I believe because it is patented, it is rare. It's not like it is rare, it is patented.
No, because it is, by patenting it, you're making it rare. Absolutely correct. That's what even I said.
Yeah. So no, what I'm saying is that whatever Google has done, say suppose it has filed certain patents, it is not something, a rarity that only Google files patents. It is done by all organizations throughout the world. So why are we saying that those are rare?
Because Google is able to exploit that and charge a premium for its services and earn profits out of it.
Okay, what I'm saying is
Coke has also registered its formula. Pepsi has also registered its formula. But Coke's patent is rare for Coke and Pepsi's patent is rare for Pepsi. So therefore, what are these brands?
Do we say rare for the market?
Rare for Pepsi, and therefore they exploit it and they say we love the taste of Coke or we love the taste of Pepsi.
Okay.
Yeah, and therefore they are able to create a brand differentiation because of that. They're able to create an equity because of that.
Okay. Okay, Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Water is water at the end of the day. Why does one prefer bottled water A versus bottled water B? Because of the whatever they are trying to provide in terms of value, rarity, imitability, and the organization. Yeah. Good. So let's move on to what we also want to talk about here. And then let's move on to looking at, of course, rarity. And now we move on to the next, one more technique or one more strategic framework, and that's called as the Ansof's matrix. Very, very powerful when you want to discuss or determine your strategy. So the quadrants are based on products and services and markets. So if your market is a new market, and if it is an existing product, then it's market development. If it's an existing market in an existing product, then you got to penetrate into the market and increase occasions of consumption or increase usage or whatever your strategy is. If it's an existing market and a new product, and it's product development, something that's happening in the automotive world with regards to electronics and autonomous vehicles. New market and new products, it's like diversification, entering into new markets. Suppose you've entered into international markets, you're diversifying to gain or grab market share, or to grow your businesses through that strategy that you adopted. So based on the market that you're present in, whether you are present or not, and the products and services, you could put up a strategy with regards to either developing the market, or developing or penetrating into the market, or developing the product, or diversifying the market. Okay. So if you were to look at it, for example, selling more of the same things to the customer, you want the customer to use more and more of you, like Coca-Cola, like McDonald's, like potato chips. All of these so-called fast-moving consumer goods are talking about increasing consumption of usage of that. Market development, you developing the market, either you have additional branches, or you have different SKUs or pack sizes, or now you were offline, now you are online. You have segmented policies for different customer groups, and all of these could be the ways and means of developing the market. Product development, the Samsungs and the Apples of the world are giving you new developed products every year. Unilever, for example, in its detergent series says new improved detergent, and it's developed the product with whatever technology that it has implemented it. Diversification, you enter into newer territories, like PepsiCo has entered into the snack food industry through Lay's. It has entered into the water market through Aquafina, the juice market through Tropicana, and obviously its flagship, which is carbonated soft drinks. Yeah, so that's what we call as diversification. Why do you want to diversify? Obviously, when you are saturated in your home market, you want to explore this into other markets, and these other markets are outside your home market. It gets your visibility. If you are the first mover advantage, you normally want to diversify with saturation, maturity coming in. You want to bring about some buzz in the market and create that growth. And obviously, with growth coming in, you've reduced your risks and taken more prudent decisions. So if you were to do one for Coca-Cola, how does it look like? Just as an example, so you have you have your existing market and an existing product, and that's your regular Coke that you drink. New markets and existing products, you can have cherry Coke and vanilla Coke, not in all countries, but they want to be present in those markets. Diet Cokes, Coke Vanilla, Coke Zero is a new product in an existing market, and totally undiversified, which is your energy drinks, water, etc., etc. That's your related diversification. Getting into apparel would be unrelated diversification for Coke. Yeah, clear about this, guys. The Ansop's matrix, talking about what strategy you will use based on product, existing or new, and market, existing or new. An organization should use Ansop's matrix when you every year as an annual product planning exercise. What do you intend to do with your products? And on the, if you were to look at your product life cycle, if you're at your maturity stage, then obviously an Ansop's matrix will be very useful for you to determine how can you bring about the growth buzz for your products. What should your strategy be for growing your brand forward next year? Are you going to penetrate more? For example, Islamic banking, we say that it should be penetrative because more and more people should use Islamic banking as opposed to traditional banking. Yeah. Here's for another one, which you can read. Now, organic, there are two kinds of growth strategy, guys, the organic strategy and the inorganic strategy. What do we mean by organic growth strategy? Anyone?
Organic growth is something where you work on your organization and try to develop the resources and capabilities in the organization.
Okay. Can I say natural, progressive, expected growth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is normal business practices and normal growth. So what is inorganic if organic is that?
Inorganic is essentially where you collaborate or use mergers, acquisitions to enter into a segment where you already don't exist.
Absolutely correct. And therefore, one is, if you were to put it in a better way, the natural way of growing is organic and an artificial way of growing is inorganic. What do you think businesses are driving more on nowadays? Natural or, organic or inorganic?
Inorganic.
Correct. Absolutely. Because why inorganic? Because the growth is significant through inorganic than through organic strategies. Organic is safe, secure, natural, progressive. The biggest disadvantage with organic growth would be absolutely time factor. And secondly, would be identifying indirect competition. Because as indirect competition is creeping in faster than you expected, your business models have got to acquire that, understand that, and probably change that. A lot of organizations blame it on technology and say technology is the disruptor, but that is because you did not have the foresight to envisage that this is going to be tomorrow competing with you in a manner that is going to take away market share or sales from you. Okay, so that has to be mindful, proactive approach as opposed to just being complacent and not having a reactive approach. And mergers and acquisitions, of course, faster. You don't have to invest in it. You can take advantage of it. And these are the various ways in which you can grow inorganically. Like some of you said, merging two companies to form a new entity, acquiring another company. It could be hostile acquisition, merciless, or a friendly acquisition. Strategic alliances, which is job related, licensing or franchising, like the Subway model is a franchise model.
One question.
Yes.
But don't you think the selection of the strategy, either organic or inorganic, it depends on the industry also? Because for companies like very sensitive business like airline, or it could be some defense industries, where the information is highly sensitive, you cannot have a merger or acquisition or outsourcing done. So rather it should be internal.
Agreed. And if there are both government entities, then you could decide on merging or acquiring them together or merging them together. You could, if it is the same kind of industry. But if it is a sensitive industry like defense, yes, you're not looking at inorganic the way you're looking at it, a profit-making organization. Yeah. So those are the different ways of which inorganic growth strategies are working. And now we move on to this last component of our exercise. How do you know that your strategy, any and all frameworks that you've planned for, it is actually yielding the desired result or not? If you want to know whether it's yielding the desired result or not, we had this talk sometime in the beginning of the conversation of our class to talk about and understand how do you know that whether what we have done, are we on the right path or not? And we talked about KPI setting. So what is a KPI as such? A KPI is a metric, or a KPI is a key performance indicator, which is objective, and it helps you to determine objectively whether you achieved what you have intended to achieve or not. Right? If it's on the right path, bravo. If it's not, then the problem is in the wrong KPI that you've selected to be able to determine whether you're the right path or wrong path. And this is usually the genesis or the basis of conducting a effective review with senior management. We all have had increases in terms of the reviews that we do now. It's more frequent, once a fortnight, once a month. But these review mechanisms should be robust enough to capture KPIs which help us determine whether we are achieving our strategy or there is a shortfall in achievement. So this is becoming important because what Peter Drucker had said, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. If you can't measure it, you cannot even improve it. What gets measured only gets improved. Management is doing the right things. Leadership is doing the right things, well as management is doing things right. The whole culture of the organizations becomes metric driven. You understand what the metric is, and then you want to know how we will be working on it in a very, very effective manner to obviously achieve it. You can monitor this. These reviews are now happening on a monthly basis. Shortfalls are determined, and these shortfalls are overcome, which far more productive discussions as opposed to just saying next month will be a great month. And we'll just continue working on the way we are. Those discussions hold true no longer. Sales guys are questioned very, very deeply, saying, please review your pipeline and tell us what conversion ratios are you expecting? Why are you expecting? Why didn't you convert? Why your average is low? And those kinds of questions get asked a lot. So, it all depends on the KPIs because it will ask for the right questions and not conceal the questions behind what management does not want to see. Communication becomes important here. When in doubt, I would always recommend over communication. Helps everybody understand what are these metrics, why we are achieving this, and what are we going to gain or achieve out of this. So different types of strategic monitoring, annual plans that looks at profits, profitability, only profitability, efficiencies in terms of cost optimization, processes, and strategy is looking at whether your organization strategy is being achieved or not. This could include the other elements as well, but not to the extent that it would want to. It would include a few of those to give a complete organization perspective. So here's an example, guys. Quickly, you can take a picture shot of this. This is like a vision statement of any other organization. It is of Motorola. And just take a picture shot. And what I will want us to do is build, I'm just going to color code it in a minute, just a minute. So it's a pretty longish statement. In the interest of time, we may not have the time to do it for all, but let's talk about this part of the story. Okay, so we have the yellow, the blue, and the gray. What we will do is put you into your breakout rooms now. So room one, whoever goes in room one will look at developing a KPIs for the yellow piece, room two on the blue piece, and room three on the gray piece. Yeah, you can take a picture shot if you want to. Yeah, room one is the yellow, room two is the blue, and room three is the gray. We will just quickly spend 10 minutes on that. If this is my strategy, the role that is assigned to you, what KPIs are you going to select? Not more than 4, please. 2 to 4, minimum 2, maximum 4, not more than that, that you're going to select to make sure that you're on the right track or not. Now, if you build up these 2 or 4, please make sure that you are aligning it to either financial or customer or process or growth, one of these. Yeah, so that way you will get at least 2 different or 4 different KPIs for your respective strategy pieces. So we'll break you into 3 rooms because there are 3 elements, and we'll give you 10 minutes to do this, and let's come back and discuss this as a class. Yeah. Okay. Great, guys. Welcome back. This can go on for a long time, but in the interest of time, we said 10 minutes, and let's come back and let's quickly do this again, like we've done the other exercises as a class. And let's see how best we are going to address this issue of ours. So room one, let's start with you. And in your case, let's tell us, the other rooms can play the role of the devil's advocate and critically evaluate it. Room one, if your KPI is to be set for serve the needs of the community by providing products and services of superior quality at a fair price to your customers, what would your KPIs or KPI be?
So one KPI would be to measure the existing quality of our products.
Okay, how?
And that was the point where we were struggling a bit because I think in our group, we did not have anybody who had a experience in the manufacturing sector.
So can I say this?
Defect, yeah. So defect rate, so conceptually we knew that, but what exactly, how in a manufacturing company, quality is checked, right? In terms of what is the KPI used, which we were not sure. So defect rate,
fair
yes.
enough. Yeah. So sorry, my friend. So sorry, guys. So your KPI will be defect rate in percentages.
Correct. Yeah. In percentages, whether it is at 1% or less than that.
Absolutely correct. So if I say that my defect rate month on month is going above 5%, then I'm not offering good quality products.
Correct.
Right. So, and what would this be? Finance, customer, process, or growth?
It would be KPI for the operations department.
Yeah, but balance scorecard: finance, process, growth, or learning, or
process.
Correct. So this is process. Okay, so I'm going to just put it as a P. Fair enough. Any other KPIs you guys thought of?
We thought about. So we also our understanding from the yellow part was also in terms of serving the need of communities. We also thought about market share, right? So as a KPI to calculate in terms of our sales and revenues.
Very good. And this will be what? Finance, process, finance. Yes, absolutely correct. Good. And market share would obviously be in units or value or percent?
Percentage.
So percent. Okay. Now KPI 3.
KPI 3, we actually could not reach KPI 3, Professor.
Okay. Right now, does anybody have this in mind?
Professor, could on-time delivery be there?
Yeah, I'll just come to that in a minute. Could this be a parameter to look at? Customer satisfaction, if I want to make it specific, I can say products and services. And I can also say value for money. So I'm going to ask the customer, are they satisfied or not? And that's going to be, I'm going to ask the customer, do they get value for money from our products and services or not?
Can we use can NPS be one of the criteria?
Yes. So either you want to say that, or now in the interest of time, or I can also say NPS. Sorry. Yeah. Or I can put NPS here because that's a loyalty measure. And what is NPS?
Net Promoter Score.
Correct. So let's put that down. Net Promoter Score or NPS. Okay, brilliant. And now that is on the basis of what would this be? Financial, customer, what? The customer satisfaction, obviously customer.
Yeah.
Customer.
And this one?
Customer.
Okay, but now I'm forced to keep one, right? Because otherwise it will be customer skewed. So I can put this as growth because this will come as the better you know about recommendation, the more your organization will be able to grow, and therefore I can put it as a growth measure. And that's the beauty of a balance scorecard, to make it balanced. Yeah.
Can on-time delivery be one of the KPIs here?
Which one are you measuring with that? On-time delivery to measure what from the statement?
On-time delivery of products to customers.
So services, and it is
But it's since it's Motorola, they are not direct selling, right? So why would on-time delivery be a factor for Motorola?
Correct. Because it is
on-time delivery to the dealers will be impacting the product given to customer, right? So it should be for dealers. You should have this code, right?
Okay. So if you want it, you can add it as the 5th KPI. But again, as you rightly said, on-time delivery for distributors.
So rather than on-time delivery, should we say just-in-time production should be the KPI that needs to be looked at?
If you have that, or here you can, I would also say turnaround time. Turnaround time to process orders.
Okay.
That is what I can also say it as, yeah. So what is my turnaround time to process orders when the inquiry comes in?
Yeah, exactly. And also on the repair time service, some targets could be kept.
Yeah. So it's beyond 5 or 6 now, so I'll stop there. But yes, you can put that in, no problems. Yeah, repair time. Now instead of repair time, I'm putting defect rates.
Oh, you're talking about the production, manufacturing. I'm talking about the after sales service.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so you can put repair time as well.
Because that is something spares and service is something key for customers.
Fair enough. So you can do that as well.
Shouldn't repair time fall under customer satisfaction products and services?
Yeah, but this is, we are only talking about range of products and services. If you want to ask the customer, then it will go here. But if you want to just capture absolute data in terms of time taken, then you will put it as a separate measure.
Okay.
Customer satisfaction almost covers everything, even quality,
correct.
Cost,
but you have to be very specific. Customer satisfaction on what? Because if you don't ask that, you will not cover it in your survey.
Okay.
And if you don't cover it in your survey, we cannot say this means that. It has to be very specific that we got for this and this is what it is. Yeah. So good. Let's move to the next group, which is team room 2.
For adequate profit, can we add achieving like sales target achieved by like 95% of the sales target achieved?
So are you going to say revenue, or are you going to 95% is the target? I'm talking about KPI. Right. So can I say revenue, or do you want me to say net profit?
Revenue first, yeah.
The revenue is minus costs. Is that a good measure, or you want to keep it as profit?
I think
we had both.
Profit would be the.
We added both points actually. So we added profit and sales as the 2 different KPIs.
So you added both of them. So I'll add revenue and I will add net profit.
That's correct.
Okay. So through this, I am indirectly also measuring costs.
Right.
Okay. So revenue is what? Finance or what?
Finance.
And net profit is what?
That is also finance.
Yeah. So now you are in the balance scorecard. You are skewed towards finance. So you got to take only one of them. So you will take.
I think net profit will go with net.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. And that's the beauty of balance scorecard. Now you tell me what else?
Market share and volume could be here also, right?
Yes, but it's not. You already got one good one for finance here.
Can we include reduce customer churn?
Yeah, customer churn not more, retain customers up to.
Customer churn in terms of percentage is a very good measure.
Yeah.
And this will be obviously customer.
Correct?
Very good, excellent. What about?
Add new features in a product, or come up with new innovative products every quarter.
How are you going to relate that to this part? Adding new features.
KPI. That is not KPI.
And you're not going to be able to relate it to strategy. What about costs optimization?
But that will help me in increasing my profit, right? Unless and until I come up with some innovative products.
That is a fair given, right? So what is the KPI you want to talk?
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Now the KPI could be number of innovative products introduced or launched.
Yeah.
That I could.
Correct.
Product launches.
So 3-4
innovative products launched, and that could be a sign of growth.
Correct.
Yeah.
Got it. And now tell me, optimization costs are also there, and this could be process because you re-engineer your process, and innovative is going to be your growth.
So, Professor, I have a question here. Instead of saying number of innovative products launched, can we talk about the number of patents filed as a growth, as a KPI?
Yes, you could also. If your business wants you to file patents, you could use that as well. Absolutely correct. Yeah, but number of patents is not very common to businesses, and therefore a surrogate measure is innovative products launched. Okay. Now here you'll have to define innovation. Is it first in the company, first in the market, or first in the industry? What are you referring to, or on the globe? What do you mean by innovative? Okay, and now let's move to the room 3, the last room.
Yes, Professor. So we discussed on KPIs such as, the line for us was provide the opportunity for our employees and shareholders to achieve their personal objectives.
Right.
So the KPIs which we discussed were, one was employee. First, if we talk about employees, so it is the employee satisfaction index.
Okay, very good. Can we change the employee satisfaction to employee engagement, because that's the buzzword now?
Okay. Then
So,
we talked about the loyalty index.
Whose loyalty?
Employee loyalty.
So employee retention rate?
Employee loyalty and shareholders loyalty.
So just a minute. Employee retention rate, employee engagement. Where are you going to put these scores? Profitability, customer, finance, or growth?
Growth.
Both of them growth. I will not let you put. So employee retention could have a financial perspective to it, and employee engagement could have a
employee engagement could have a growth perspective.
Could have a growth perspective to it. Fair enough. So now you're left with 2 others, which is finance and customer.
Finance could be return of investment for shareholders.
Thank you. Return on investment, or ROI. Or I can also.
We have already added for employee retention, right?
Sorry?
Finance we have added for employee retention, right?
Yeah, but now what is ROI for shareholders? Where is that going? Growth or process or finance? So if this is finance, this can be it could employee customer profitability is strong, so that has an impact on customer. You could put it as customer as well. And lastly, your processes.
Process, you can say number of relevant trainings or employee trainings attended.
Thank you. Or another good one also I'll have is, let me just put the number of number of trainings attended.
Professor, one quick question.
And just a minute, you can break this down into online and external and on the job as well, if you wanted to. And this is growth, and this could be process also from that point of view.
So, Professor, one quick question. Employee engagement includes trainings?
Typically. No. Yeah, but this is number of trainings attended. That is satisfaction on trainings attended.
Okay.
Yeah. So I attended 5 trainings, but all were pathetic. So employee engagement will capture patheticness. Number of trainings is what will capture the volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in finance, can we consider price to earning ratio as a much better measure instead of ROI?
I will put that down. Yeah. I can put market capitalization also if you're a public listed company, or I can put price to earnings ratio. I can put any of them. Since you're restricted to one, you can put all of them otherwise, but you can take one of these. Yeah. So as you can see, now that you've formulated your strategy, you've formulated your KPIs as well. And now you will make sure that these KPIs are provided, not because they're the flavor of the month or flavor of the day, but because I want it, but I'll provide it because it has helped me decide whether I'm achieving my strategy or not. And see the power of strategy, formulation, implementation, and control seamlessly coming through for everybody's clarity, and you cannot fall flat or cannot fall off because you've thought through it. And hence, now if somebody says, have you achieved your strategy? All that you've got to do is look at these KPIs, the results, and say yes or no. And your KRAs or your MBOs will have targets on these. So defect rate should not be more than 5%. Net profit should be at least X%, so on and so forth.
So, Professor, if somebody has to prepare a balanced scorecard, is this a typical framework that you will use?
The typical framework is the 4 perspectives that we spoke about.
Okay, so we'll talk about profitability, finance, customer, and
growth and customer. That is, and now the balanced scorecard approach is so beautiful. It makes you make it balanced, and it differs from organization to organization how you see it. There's no hard and fast rule that these are the growth measures and those are the growth measures. But if this organization is seeing net promoter score as a growth, the entire organization will see it as a growth, and nobody is going to put this as finance.
Okay.
Yeah. Clear? Good. So that basically brings us to the end of what we wanted to talk about with regards to everything brought in perspective, the entire end-to-end from strategy formulation to strategy implementation to strategy control. Okay. This last piece was added on because it's very important from the industry perspective to set KPIs as much as you set other frameworks. And hence, I thought of introducing it as a discussion point as well. So good, guys, that is the end of our 4 episode series, and there is a feedback form. Kindly fill one out, and I'm just going to quickly tell you how the end exam is going to look like broadly. So if you are given the first paper to do, there are about 3 questions. Question 1 is a full question of 20 marks. And then there are those 10, I don't know how many marks are there. I don't know. Okay. So yeah, the first question is a full question, and that's for 20 marks. The other one is 10 marks each. There are 2 questions there, and the third question again of 20 marks. So the first question is typically giving you a certain area or a problem, and you're asked to do something. I don't see that as a problem. You should be able to do that. You can use whatever assumptions you wish to make while you're preparing it in terms of the strategy. Then the second question is talking about, use a suitable example to explain a certain strategic framework, and you can use an example that you would like. And then you can talk. So basically, there are questions asked on the frameworks that we've discussed in class. I don't see that as a problem to anybody. The class has been more than happy to discuss this in class, and I don't see that you should have a challenge in terms of or a struggle to attempt the end-term exam. Please use the right buzzwords. Please quality over quantity. Don't have to write an answer for 5 pages because it is 10 marks or because it is 20 marks. Bulletize your answer. Helps thinking process much better. Yes, the Excel sheet, I will send it. And once I email, I will send it to the guys, and they should be able to send it to you. You will get the Excel sheet. Yeah, good. So nothing more to talk about, guys. Just tell me how the 4 episodes were. Would you find it okay, good, informative? And then we can just call it end of series. Any quick comments?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there was a lot of interaction with all the students as well as with you. So that was a lot of learning because a lot of my assumptions were cleared in terms of how strategic business management should be approached as a topic.
Good.
So definitely it's going to help me to apply some of these concepts in my work.
Very good.
And the learning doesn't stop here. Maybe I'll also have to take help of additional external resources to fine tune it in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad with that statement. It is only getting you started. All of this will end with you. Brilliant. Great. So guys, please use this at your workplace, demonstrate it, create a differentiation, use strategy to create value out of you as a brand. And good luck to all of you. Keep in touch and all the very best as you move on with your journey, both professionally, academically, and personally. Take care. Bye-bye, guys.
Sir, if possible, can you share your personal email ID if we would like to get in touch with you and seek your guidance? Yeah.
Sure. I'm just putting it down here. I'm giving you my Yahoo account.
Yep.
It's right there.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Great. Wonderful. Take care and good luck.
Thank you.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.